welcome back. Last week, I guess it'd be 2 weeks ago, we talked about this M38, and I'm sure there's been some comments and some questions on it. I wanted to get it out for, well, first of all, it's summer. It's super awesome to cruise around in. And second of all, I could go over some of those in this video on what this is, where I got it, what I know about it. This is a pretty old technology. These Jeeps are very popular still. I've been kind of watching the prices, and they seem like the flat fenders are always desirable. So let's go ahead and get rolling on it. First, now this hasn't ran since probably before Christmas, so at least 7 months. And we don't have the hood bolted on because the air cleaner is a little large. So this is a 74, 73, 350 Chevy motor, big cam, high flow water pump, TBI fuel injection, manifold. You got to wobble out the holes to fit the old heads because it was a 94 model. Anyways, and then I bought a computer off of eBay, made it all work. Fabulous. 3-core radiator, power steering. It has a little heater in it. Let's see if the battery's in. Oh, I've done a disc brake conversion on it as well. Let's see if she'll start up. Holy dog is underneath. He'll come running out. I guess it had enough battery in it. A couple of years ago, I put this Harbor Freight winch on the front. It's 12,000 pounds. I've used it once. Worked fabulous. On the back, I've got an 8,000 pound Warren, and I put that on there about the same time as the other one, and it works okay. It's not as new as the others. I've added this other crap just because. It's got a high lift jack. It's got the provision for a back seat I have inside. What makes the M38 different than the other flat fenders we talked about earlier is the axe and the shovel. The pioneering kit was originally on the original Jeeps for World War II, was on the driver's side. And then you'd have to flip the seat forward to fill the Jeeps. Now the civilian version 2As that came out in 46, they had a gas tank on the outside. Some of the very early ones still had the axe and shovel because they were using the old bodies that they had left over. This M38s from 1950, I think, to 1953, they came with an axe and shovel, the pioneering kit here. I have an axe and a shovel, but they're not the right style, so they don't stay on very good. What is different about? Oh, and the windshield. This is not a 3A windshield. A lot of people say, oh, the windshield wipers down below one piece. That's not a 3A. They're very similar. This is removable. I believe it is on the 3A, but apparently they're different. On the front of the 38s, this one here, you can see this was designed. It has the hinge. These would be removable, and you could pull the radiator and grill out as one unit if you were to work on it. Originally, these would have been a 4-cylinder flathead like a Go Devil. That was long gone when I got it. This has an open knuckle. Originally, it was an open knuckle drum brake setup. So that would have been 70 or 71, probably at the latest when we still had the small CJ5s before AMC took over. I then converted it disc brakes. I actually used the Chevy Dana 44 caliper and bracket, and then the Jeep CJ5 1 1/8", and that worked fine. I have to use a little spacer on the front because these are original Jeep wheels. I put these military tires on it. They don't wheel worth a crap. It's just for look. I do have some super swampers on 33s that I will run on it if I'm going to go off-roading somewhere. Anyways, we'll probably take this one for a drive. It's got a collector's plate on it. It's insured. We can run down, take it for a ride today. Okay, so we're gonna get the windshield cleaned up. I've got a bikini top. I think those are for CJ5s. I had one that fit a little bit better. I don't know what I did with it. It's in the motorhome. It's in storage. Anyways, this is, as I was saying earlier about the hood, I don't want to cut the hood up because I could do a cowl hood. I could do some kind of stupid, I could probably find a different air cleaner, but if you're familiar with the TBIs, they have that, that dual bolt, the system like that. And anyways, everything I looked at didn't seem to work. So if I put the hood on, it kind of rides high because I remove the hinge. I just leave it latched like that. But a lot of times I'll just cruise around with the hood off. Let's go in the back real quick. I do have this little seat for it. When the kids were little, you used to put their car seats and stuff in it. This Jeep I've had probably 9 years. A lot of YouTube guys won't tell you what they paid for stuff. I paid $2,000 for this. It was an hour from my house. It ran and drove, needed work. So I did all the engine work and stuff on it. Anyways, these are what you call your fold and tumbles. There's a wasp. Fold and tumbles. And they're kind of a goofy system. You got to put them down indexed into the... And then once you get them indexed in, they just fold back, and then we'll move the seat belts. I don't know how old that was. This is my homemade winch control for the rear winch. It was something I scavenged off a truck I was scrapping a bunch of years ago. The emergency brake doesn't work. Power disc brakes, like I said, and the back is just a standard drum. And now this one has a Ford T18 transmission in it, and then it has an adapter that goes to the transfer case, and it's running the Dana 18, which, if you don't know anything about those, they're offset. The front is offset, the output is offset. If you look underneath the Jeep, Mary, look underneath and you'll see that the rear axle's offset. You'll also see that somebody trussed it like that. I would have wished they had done it the other way, because that, when you're in the mud, that seems to drag along pretty good. It's a Rancho lift. It's a spring over. Gives you a lot of height. It's not too tippy. It's a little bit tippy. Let's come up here to see the engine.
And this is our cup holder. Very handy on long trips.
The firewall's been modified, been cut back. Like I say, when I got this Jeep, it was like this. I added the Nerf bars. I added this. Everybody can do their own disc brake conversion if you look around. I went to the junkyard, found this set up off of a 92 or 3 Cherokee, and it was just the small size. It had the reservoir, disc in the front, drum in the back, and then I was able to modify my pedal a little bit. You can see it's been welded, it's been hacked. Somebody's got swing pedals in it. Originally they would have been under. And that all works. It's not a lot of room here between your feet and the gas tank. So, and speaking of the gas tank, this is an original M38 tank. It's a repop. I think Amex, I think is the one I bought it from. That was almost $500 for those tanks. But I wanted one. There was a hole there. It didn't come with a tank. And so that's what I ended up doing. And then the seats, they need to be reupholstered. I don't know the source on those. But anyways, there I got the big mouth, so you could take a jerry can and pour it straight in without a funnel. That was the intent. Gas gauge does work.
And we keep an extra tank with us.
Yeah,
So,
these are pretty good.
With a homemade mount for it.
These, I don't remember where I got that one. I want to say Harbor Freight, possibly. But, it's been all right. It works good. It rides along there. I'm not a big dollar guy, so it works out all right. Like I say, well, maybe on one of the videos we'll get the Jeep trailer out. The Jeep trailer is the Jeep is older, but the trailer is out of the early 60s, I've been told. It wasn't an original. It has some title work that says it was a homemade trailer, which wasn't true. The guy I bought it from used to be a friend of mine. He's retired and moved away. And anyways, I was able to score the trailer off of him. And then I did a bunch of modification to it for camping. I put a kitchen in the back. I put more jerry cans on it. And we've taken this off-road a few times camping. It's interesting. It's interesting to go, leaf spring vehicle for long distances, but, it's a hoot. What you see here is a box that I had over there on the shelf for a while. It's covered in dust. It looks like I have an extra front axle shaft if it goes to this. There's some linkage. I've got a couple of extra lockout hubs. These ones look like they're International Scout, so they may not even fit. You got to remember a lot of these parts, if you know what parts are parts. Spicer made a lot of these axles. Dana made these axles, so they may not be Jeep only. They could cross-reference with Chevy stuff, Ford stuff, GM stuff, International Scout stuff. I don't have the transfer case out, but this is what is referred to as the Overdrive. Let me show you how this... So you have this linkage. Let's go over to the Jeep real quick and I'll tell you that. So you got your levers. This is your transmission. 1, 2, 3, 4 in reverse. This taller one is just your front drive line engaged, front drive line disengaged. And then you got low, neutral, high. Well, actually low, neutral, high. It's in high now, and the front is disengaged. You'd have to lock your hubs, engage that, then low and high. The Overdrive will come up through here and it'll be another lever. I know a lot of people say, well, these old wheelies and stuff, oh, there's too many levers. Well, they serve a purpose that have, over the years have been eliminated by automatic shifting and combining some of the levers. You all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Quit walking backwards.
I'm trying to keep you in frame.
The generation after the 18s, the 20s had a single lever. What's neat about this one is I can shift low and high by not engaging the front. Now, I guess there's a way, and I don't know how to do it, but I guess there's a way where you can use the front wheel drive and not the rear wheel, and this one doesn't do that. Anyways, what happens is this big gear up underneath, you'll take off a cover plate, and this big gear will ride on it, and then it'll transmit through all this when you engage. This is a 27% overdrive, I understand. This is a catcher. As that gear rotates, oil will go in there, and it'll oil the back half of that. I bought this off an old guy. He said it was rebuilt, but they always say that. And I have not installed it yet. Here's the warning. There's probably a date on it somewhere. But anyways, it looks good inside, but I haven't installed it yet because this particular one that's different than the Saturn ones that are still available is that there is a little keeper. Okay, this one doesn't have that. It's not that style of keeper. Anyways, you end up threading this little deal into the back of the transmission main shaft, and that holds its guts together internally. Then you put this together. I've got a broken off bolt in the back of my transmission, so I either have to take the transmission out, somehow drill that bolt out, replace the shaft, do something. That's why I was saying it was a project earlier. And this gear ratio is geared for the older style of transfer case. I have a newer style. They're all old, but partway through the production of the Model 18, they decided to change that gear so it would be quieter. Well, they changed the pitch of it, or the anyways, it has to do with the teeth count and everything. Anyways, I have another transfer case in here that I've collected up parts. I think it's on the back shelf. So I should have all my pieces and parts to put into this Jeep. So when we go for a ride, I'll get it in high gear. These things are kind of like little tractors. We'll get rolling, and then you'll kind of see that it's fine unless you get on the freeway. Otherwise, about 50, 55 is about as fast as you're going to want to go in this, because you're overrunning the speed, basically. All right, so this is kind of in the middle of the video. Over the weekend, we went to a little tractor show in our area. It's a little car show. Anyways, I picked up some original literature. A fellow there was selling this stuff. I have $10 invested in everything on the table. I'll talk briefly about it.
M38. It was a magazine that came out of Hemingway News, July 2008. My rat rod is one of these Willys pickups. I'll probably cover that in detail when I do the rat rod video, which will be the next video after this video. And then I got some original. This was the Willie stuff was printed in '51. These are original ads from '64. The fellow was tearing them out of old magazines and stuff. He was about 68, and he was doing it his whole life as a hobby. Had them all categorized. I'm hoping actually to go to his place and see some of the treasures he has. The license plate, 73. I was born in '73. And it's going to be part of the rat rod collection. And then I had a whole bunch of other ones I've collected. If you guys have seen in the video, or you will see in the video, that I hadn't finished the roof, and probably last summer. So now I have enough to do that. But what I wanted to do is talk about the M38. Originally it was 24 volt. This article was written second generation military Jeep passes from father to son. And it goes through kind of the story of that Jeep. That's a restored Jeep, which, you know, when we go through, I don't have my deals on my headlights. I don't have the right kind of brackets on that. I have a different steering wheel. There's some things I don't have. But anyways, this I thought was a pretty neat collection. I might laminate it. It talks about the specifics of them. And since we're doing the M38 on this video, it talks a little bit about the difference between the CJ2A and the short run that these had. They're kind of a rare Jeep today. And anyways, it talks about the Go Devil engine. And I just thought maybe you guys would be interested in taking a look at that little piece of history. This one's not very old. These others are older. But I thought it was neat that that guy had saved all that stuff, and he had just every year, everything, every time he went through an old magazine, wherever he was getting them over the last 50 or 60 years, he would tear out the ads. He had them for all kinds of vehicles. But anyways, we'll get back to the video now, and that's kind of a little overview of what my weekend was. Oh, and what we're also going to start doing on these videos is try to give you a preview of the next vehicle, and so that you've got a little teaser at the end. We're going to see how that goes. But please like, comment, subscribe, give us thumbs up. We are trying to get more and more videos. We're going to go to once a week as opposed to every other week, since we have a little time in the summer and we're super motivated. I've gotten some comments already about the Capri, getting that out, and that actually will be our 4th video. So anyways, thanks. Appreciate it.
Okay, so a lot of people don't know that these Jeeps came factory with what's called a toolbox. What it is was just under the seat, you had a little spot. This one has a little hole somewhere, I think on this corner, a little rust. Otherwise, it's not too bad. I keep the stuff in here. That's basically the winch cable controller. Over here, I've zip tied some wrenches if you want to see how I've done those. In case of emergency, I can just snap the zip ties and do what I need to do. Otherwise, I run pretty light unless I'm going to go wheeling. I might throw in a bungee rope, maybe a chain. It's always good to go with somebody else just because it's fun. And then if somebody gets into trouble, you've got somebody else there to help you out with it. Okay, so for you Jeep guys, if you look inside here, Mary, you see the roll frame. They've got a big plate down there. Whoever did the roll cage. I put new bolts to this frame, I think last year or the year before, with new rubber bushings. They got big feet in it. This is not what you call a family cage where it will not cover the back person. This is pretty typical of these when people do them. I don't know what the pipe is. I'm sure it's just pipe. I've never put it on its side. Apparently the guy before me, he said he did roll it onto its side one time. And they stood it right back up. But this was what people were doing back in the, oh, definitely the 70s, late 60s, 70s, 80s. You can see the different colors. It's been painted over the years. This is just spray paint. Oh yeah, here's a good example. You can see the blue, the lime green. There was some white on it. The tailgate you can see on there. This has a real tailgate. These were reinforcements originally for the original Jeep stuff. Well, these are pretty cool little rig. Yeah, let's take it for a ride for sure. We're not messing around now. We're going. Let's go. Does a 4T18 transmission. You guys would say, well, why does it need that? Why don't you use the Jeep one? Why didn't you use the transmission from the Chevy stuff? The reason is it has a lower first gear in these years. So it's like a 7-to-1, where the SM 420 or 465, the Muncie version, where it's getting like a 6-to-1 ratio. So if I just put it in first gear and I let off, this is high range. Shoot. High range. No throttle. That's a high range crawl rate. Well, the reason these, now I'll put it in a low range. And this is the low range, no throttle input. That may not seem like it's a big difference, but when you're trying to bump over a rock or go through a ditch or something, that makes a big difference. So I'll just drive it up here in low range so you guys can see how slow these things really were. There's second, no throttle input. There's third, no throttle input. There's fourth, no throttle input. You know, it just idles along. In fact, we'll let Rolly get out and run for a minute.